that mean for the people of Florida? What would that mean for our native wildlife? These questions are particularly important in understanding the endangered Florida panther, who is now forced to exist in less than 5% of its original range.
Sad look at the realities of what's been happening, especially living in the city for myself. It's one of those things where people are so scared when they see a coyote kind of hanging around and just like crossing a street. And I'm just like, wait, well, technically they were here first and we just kind of built over their homes. And I feel like a lot of people forget about that because when they move to a new place, it's just concrete jungle, and you don't realize like, oh right, this used to be land, this used to be dirt everywhere, not cement and buildings. And so because of that, we just forget that wildlife does exist around us. There are still parks and things where they try and survive and to just live their life, and yet we're just kind of intruding on that. But it's nice to know that in Florida that there are people who are taking account to what's been happening and trying to preserve what they can of the land that's left for the animals, and making sure that they are able to still survive without having to be hit by anything really. Um, so yeah, this was just one of those really important reminders of like, reflect on where you came from and what's been here before us, and trying to live together harmoniously and all of that. So really great short. I think it was just really well edited, really well put together. It ended on a sign of hope for that. So yeah, it was just great overall.
Will always, to some extent, be complications when it comes to our infrastructure and our coexistence with nature and wildlife. But that doesn't mean we should settle for what those complications are without trying to find viable solutions to reduce the risk of danger and damage to both the wildlife and ourselves. And this example with the panther in Florida is just one small example that can be expanded and used, I'm sure, in so many other areas all across the United States in which wildlife is in danger and we are in danger as well, unless we find safer and more sound ways to coexist.
Wow. Wow, and yes to all of this. Really impressed by this movie. Really learned a lot. The footage, some of the footage that I would never have seen before, right? That like people just don't get a chance to see this kind of stuff. This private footage was really enticing and interesting and made me want to watch more. It really made me sit forward in my seat. This is incredibly well edited, very well directed. The storytelling is very on point, very much moving forward. Really learned a lot. I really love this movie, so congratulations.
Did a great job setting it up with that clip of the dog and the alligator. It sucks you in. Not necessarily in the best way, but it does suck you in and keeps you watching. You do it again by putting this narrative around the cougar that's in the wetlands of Florida, or is it the wetlands, the swamps, marshes in the area, and following him throughout his journey as humans are developing the area, and how detrimental this could be to Florida's wildlife, but also presenting ways that humans and the wildlife can live together, and the many different kinds of species living in that area, and steps that we can take as we develop the area to make it friendly to both humans and the native wildlife. It was really informative, but it really pushes you to advocate for developing it in a wildlife friendly manner. And that's what a good documentary does. It leaves the audience wanting to go out and participate, being drawn into the story, and wanting to advocate for whatever's being told within the film. So that's very, very important and very, very well executed in this documentary. So you should be incredibly proud of that.
This one did a really solid job of like editing together found footage, stuff that they either ripped off the internet or, you know, bought the rights to or something like that. I think that it's a sentiment to the direction and the editing that they were able to kind of put something, you know, cohesive together. And yeah, it's a really interesting point too. And I think that it's, you know, kudos to the director for utilizing those kind of like more heartbreaking shots of animals to kind of motivate the viewer to, you know, see that perspective. And so I think that it's really interesting and it's pretty well made.
It seems to be a PSA for a nonprofit that's doing everything they can to, you know, create land walks where the panthers can move, you know, under highways so they don't get killed. Like one of the panthers, there were like two they focused on who've been there forever, which is pretty fascinating. Overall, the filmmaking was just kind of okay. It was short enough so it didn't belabor the point. And there was some kind of cool caught footage of wild animals. I appreciated that. It was kind of neat to see those, you know, bears and lions and badgers and things running around. And as a person who's lived with wild animals in their backyard before, this is, you know, you can do this if you just have the respect for the animals and nature.
I really liked this. I don't live in Florida, but living in a place that does have such a high wildlife population and such a thriving wildlife population in parts of Florida for sure, having this kind of project and having this kind of knowledge I think is so important, because if homeowners are being informed, intelligent homeowners, where they're like not leaving animals alone at night and not leaving them outside unattended, especially at night, things like that. If you're being smart about it, there's absolutely, or not even like as long as you're being informed, like as long as you're an informed homeowner, there's no reason that we shouldn't be able to coexist with even wild animals. And also getting all of that footage of the bears and of the you know, deer with their does and things like that, like that's incredible footage to get. And I'm sure as far as researchers are concerned and people that are trying to make sure that these beautiful wildlife can actually thrive and live as populations are expanding and, you know, more and more of their kind of territory is being encroached on or being used, I think is so fantastic. And being able to show, like, look, Animal Crossing spaces do work. They do have a valuable place and we should have them, especially in places like Florida where you do have like protected lands or you do have such high wildlife dense areas. And being able to show that is so fantastic, that we can coexist and it is doable, and it doesn't have to be like a populated urban society versus a wildlife. And you can have this kind of cohabitation exist, I think is impressive and amazing.
And I tell you, it means a lot to me because I'm from Florida. You know, I've been living in Los Angeles for a long time, but I'm from Florida, Central Florida. And so, you know, I get it. And then there are a lot of amazing critters in Florida. And, you know, and housing development there is just daily, insane, nonstop. I mean, they're constantly looking for land to build on. And during this time here, being in LA now, I mean, there's so many people after we had the quarantine, and so many people lost jobs and careers, and so many people have left this state, and they're going to Florida and Arizona and other places. So, and this film says that 1,000 people a day are moving to Florida, and I believe it. That actually sounds small to me, like a small number, smaller than I would have guessed. But it was. I love this idea of putting the camera in your backyard so that you can record the wildlife, so that you can live with the wildlife. And I know that a lot of local residents seek to do that, to cohabitate with the animals. So I've had personal experience with that. It's a wonderful thing. But like being able to document, the presence of the animals is a wonderful thing. So it's wonderful work they're doing here. It's a nicely made film. I will say the number, when they flashed up the statistics of South Florida versus Central Florida, where I'm from, you guys need to step it up, because you only had like 3 cameras. South Florida had a lot. So, they beat you out by 10 times there at least. So, all right, step it up, Central Florida. Okay. But, I rarely have. I have never seen a Florida panther in the wild. I could say that it was nice. It was wonderful. I love seeing footage of them. So it was really nice to see some footage of that. So thank you for bringing that to us and bringing this to our attention. And good luck with this film. I hope it gets out there. And come on, Central Florida, get those cameras out.